A woman in her 50s noticed something strange. A thick white discharge was leaking from her breast. At first, it only soaked the inside of her clothes, but over time it became severe enough to completely wet her shirt. Most people would have rushed to the hospital, but this woman did something very different. She told no one, not the doctor, not even her family. Instead, she bought disinfectant and gauze from a pharmacy, and quietly she endured the pain alone. Because what she was waiting for was not treatment, she was waiting for a date. Months later, this quiet secret would trigger a police report. One spring morning, a dispatch came through the police radio. Disturbance reported at a hospital in Gangnam. Family members were blocking the examination room. They were shouting at the doctor.
Why didn't you find the cancer? You only looked at her back pain.
The waiting room was filled with anger. Some family members refused to leave. Patients waiting for treatment turned around and walked out. The hospital staff were on the verge of tears. Eventually, the hospital called the police. Detective Chung Dam Paul and his partner arrived at the scene. The family believed a terrible mistake had been made just days ago. She had been treated for back pain. Now suddenly she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. How can someone go from back pain to advanced cancer overnight? To the family, it made no sense. But the moment the police reviewed the medical records, the entire direction of the case changed. The medical chart contained a very clear note. Recommend examination at a major hospital. If pain persists further, evaluation is necessary. Advised to visit with a family member, the doctor had already warned her. He had recommended a larger hospital for a detailed examination. So why did she keep returning only for back pain treatment? Why did she hide the other symptoms? I'm Detective Chung Dam Paul. For the past 25 years, I've walked through countless crime scenes. I've seen ordinary lives turn into tragedies because of a single hidden truth. But the case you are hearing today is not just a medical dispute. This case is about something deeper. It is about how people ignore the warnings their own bodies send. The woman at the center of this case was in her 50s, a very ordinary housewife. But there was one important detail in her medical history: she had diabetes. For years, doctors had warned her, control your diet, exercise regularly, manage your blood sugar. But changing daily habits is never easy. Her daily life looked very different. Most of her time was spent lying on the sofa. The sofa was more familiar than the dining table. Instead of going outside, she stayed inside the house, and in her hands there was almost always something sweet: candy, cookies, sugary snacks. Whenever she felt tired, she reached for sugar. Whenever she felt bored, she reached for sugar again. For a patient with diabetes, this lifestyle can be extremely dangerous. Frequent spikes in blood sugar can quietly weaken the immune system. Wounds heal more slowly, infections last longer, pain becomes harder to recover from, and fatigue lingers much longer. Then one day the first major incident occurred: a brain hemorrhage. It began with sudden headache and dizziness. Her speech began to slur. She was rushed to the hospital. Fortunately, she arrived within the golden time, and she survived. After several weeks of treatment, she was discharged. Many people believe that after facing death, their lives will change. But real life is often different. Most people slowly return to the same habits, and this woman was no exception. Not long after leaving the hospital, the sofa life returned, and so did the candy and the sugary snacks. Then one day she noticed something strange. A discharge was coming from her breast. At first, it only dampened her underwear. But as time passed, the amount increased. Soon it soaked through her clothing. There was a strong smell. The pain grew worse. The skin became red, and even a light touch caused severe pain. Most people would have gone to the hospital immediately, but she didn't, because there was another reason. The reason was in her insurance policy. If cancer was discovered within the first year, the payout could be limited. So she told herself, just hold on a little longer. If I go to the hospital now, I could lose everything. Maybe if I wait 1 year, it still won't be too late. From that moment on, she began hiding the warnings her body was sending. Instead of going to a doctor, she went to a pharmacy. She bought disinfectant and gauze. And alone, she tried to clean and dress the wound by herself. Day after day, she endured the pain in silence. When family members asked about the strange smell on her clothes, she brushed it off. When they asked why her face looked pale, she gave simple answers. I'm just tired. Maybe it's indigestion. I just didn't sleep well. But the body kept sending stronger signals. Soon another symptom appeared: back pain. At first, it felt like mild stiffness and just a little discomfort when she moved. But slowly the pain became worse. Standing up hurt, sitting down hurt, Even lying in bed became uncomfortable. Some nights the pain spread into her back. Sleep became difficult. Eventually she visited an orthopedic clinic. The diagnosis was simple: a mild disc problem, medication, and physical therapy. To the family, it looked like a very common problem. Just back pain, nothing unusual. But there was one critical detail, a detail no one knew. She never told the doctor about the discharge from her breast. She hid it with pads inside her clothing, and sometimes she sprayed perfume to hide the smell. The only symptom the doctor heard was this: "My back hurts," and the family believed the same thing. They thought it was just a worsening disc problem, nothing more, but the body kept sending warnings. The pain did not improve. Cold sweats appeared. Her strength began to fade. Then one day it finally happened. She suddenly collapsed in the living room of her home. Her family screamed and rushed to her side. An ambulance was called immediately. She was taken to a large emergency hospital, and the diagnosis changed everything: stage 3 breast cancer. The tumor had already progressed. Some areas had begun to break down like ulcerated wounds. Doctors suspected long-term infection alongside the cancer. All this time, her body had been sending signals: the pus from the breast, the pain, the smell, and the growing fatigue. But every one of those signals was ignored. Only then did the family rush back to the orthopedic clinic to confront the doctor. But the records told a completely different story. The doctor had already recommended that she visit a larger hospital for further examination. Yet the patient heard the recommendation and still did not act immediately. But the most tragic part came later. The insurance money she had been waiting for was never properly paid. Because symptoms had already appeared, a dispute about disclosure began. When the timeline of her symptoms and the concealment became clear, the insurance claim became complicated. In the end, while trying to protect money, she lost both her health and the insurance payout. At this point, Detective Han will summarize the survival rules that everyone must remember. Please give us the briefing.
Hello everyone. I am Detective Han. In situations like this, survival rules can be as important as life itself. Please listen carefully. First, people with chronic diseases such as diabetes or high blood pressure must never rely on sugar to relieve stress. Candy, cookies, and sugary drinks may raise your mood temporarily, but they destabilize blood sugar and worsen inflammation, making it harder for the body to recover. Second, the habit of lying down all day because you feel sick is far more dangerous than people realize. When movement decreases, muscle strength declines rapidly, blood circulation worsens, and sensitivity to pain increases. For patients with chronic disease, even small movements help maintain basic strength. Third, any discharge from the body is an important clue. If pus appears from the breast, or blood mixed discharge, if the nipple turns inward, if the skin looks like orange peel, or if a lump is felt, never squeeze it yourself or hide the symptom. Fourth, breast cancer does not always begin with breast pain. Sometimes the first symptom appears in completely different areas: back pain, lower back pain, or pain in the armpit. If unexplained pain continues, do not rely on the result from just one hospital. Check the cause again. Fifth, breast self-examination is not difficult. Stand in front of a mirror and check if the shape has changed. Raise your arms and look for dimpling or pulling of the skin. Then use 3 fingers to gently check the entire breast and the armpit area. Doing this during a shower or right after can make it easier to detect changes. Dear subscribers, stay safe and take care of your health. This was Detective Han.
The core of this case is actually very simple. Disease does not wait for insurance dates. Pain, discharge, odor, fatigue, all of these were statements made by the body. But the patient denied those statements until the end. After 25 years as a detective, I have learned something. Cases grow larger because of one hidden sentence. In this case, the most critical sentence was never spoken. Actually, something is wrong with my breast, too. That silence pushed the case into tragedy. The body never lies. If your body is sending signals, do not delay until tomorrow. Especially people with chronic diseases like diabetes or high blood pressure, the moment they start relying on sugar, their body begins to break down much faster than they think. If your body is sending unusual signals today, do not push it off until tomorrow. The one who checks today is the one who survives. The quieter the warning, the faster you must act. The survival file is not over. The investigation continues in the next clue.